Hi, my name's Kate, and I am a high school math teacher in the middle of my 17th year of teaching. Today, I thought that I would talk to you guys about some of my favorite websites that I use with my students. Let's go ahead and jump over to my computer, and I will show you some of my favorite websites. One of my favorite websites to use is Quizzes. So, Quizzes is, if you're not familiar with it, an online sort of gamification system where you can either create your own quizzes. So here's several that I've created. Now, when I've created these, I haven't actually typed in all the questions myself. I have searched for questions and added them to my own quizzes to create these. You could also find other people's quizzes and just use their quizzes. So here I've got a Math Lab quiz number 8 review that I've used from somebody else, and logs and evaluating logs from somebody else. And what this looks like is from the teacher end, it looks a little bit different for the students, but the students are going to get this question, and here's a fill in the blank they have to answer. So these look like fill in the blank, and then there are some multiple choice questions, so rewrite, and then the students choose the correct answer. And you can choose how many points a question's worth and how long you want the students to have to answer these questions. So you can do this as a live quiz. You can also assign it as independent practice. So I do use quizzes often for e-learning, and that works really well. My students, especially my honors kids or my pre-calculus kids, really get into this and really like the challenge of these questions. One thing that one of my colleagues had started doing, and I've definitely enjoyed having this as part of my quizzes as well, is that students sometimes will see questions that have nothing to do with math. So here, what American holiday unofficially signifies the end of the US summer season. So some of them are easy. Most of them will know Labor Day. It's actually surprising how many get that wrong. But other questions as well. This celebrity has the most Twitter followers with over 39 million. Now, this was written several years ago, so this has possibly changed by now. But I do think that these types of questions are fun. It makes those students who are definitely more mathy a little bit more frustrated because sometimes they don't know these and then they don't get a perfect score. I'll even have students sometimes go back in and they want to do the quizzes again because they want to do better at it. So this has definitely been a fun type of review activity that my students enjoy using. Another online tool that I enjoy using is Quizlet. So Quizlet focuses more on vocabulary, whereas quizzes you can, really make it a whole bunch of different things, multiple choice, that sort of thing. So I like Quizlet, especially with geometry, because there's so many different vocabulary words for students to learn. So here, transversal and angle relationship vocabulary. So I can assign these to students and they can just use them as flashcards. So, here's a picture and then they know it's acute angles. And here, they give two angles that share the common side, so they know, oh, that's adjacent angles, and so on. So this is really fun, but what I really enjoy using quizzes or Quizlet for is this Quizlet.live. Now, it's hard because I don't actually have a class set up right now, but I would have random teams, and my students would join using a code. And then I can choose, do I want to have the definition and term? So the definition up top, so the students will see the definition, and then within their group, they'll all have some of the answers. They won't have all of the answers, so it really forces them to work together. Or do I want to have the term up top and they have to figure out what the definition is? So it really depends on how I have these set up. Sometimes I'll select one and I'll realize, nope, I don't want it like that, and I'll make them exit out, and then we'll start it over doing the other way. So I'm never really consistent with which way I use this. But the fun thing with these is that they'll all have the question on top, so they'll have acute angle, and then somebody will have an angle that measures less than whatever. Another person will have different definitions, but only one person has the correct definition, so they have to talk together and work together to answer these. So as the team gets them correct, they get points. But the cool thing is, and it's frustrating at first, when somebody gets the answer wrong, the entire team goes back to 0 and they have to start over again in order to get them all right. So it really just helps with that rote memorization of these different vocabulary words, which isn't a bad thing, again, especially in geometry, needing to know all of those different angle relationships. So this is another activity that I do really enjoy using with my students. Another way that I've used this, so I'll play this several times, I'll let them stay in their groups, and then after a couple of times of playing, then I'll have them change groups and play a couple of more times, and sometimes afterwards then I'll tell them, okay, you're going to go back to your seats, you have to be completely silent, you're not allowed to talk, and we're going to play it again. And that just really, like, you got to count on your teammates to know their terms. But I don't do that unless I really practice these words a lot with them. So that's just a fun variation on how to play this game. But Quizlet and quizzes, both really fun activities to use with your students, and they don't take that much time, which is what is really nice. The last web tool that I use often in my classroom is what's called TalkingPoints. TalkingPoints allows me to contact and be in communication with parents through my computer, and I can send them a text messages, because I know trying to call parents, having time to do that has been very difficult. I can call them during my lunch. No, I want my lunch period. I could call them after school. Well, our contract time ends 10 minutes after the students do, and I typically have afternoon duty. So I really, if I want to communicate with parents over the telephone, I have to do it on my own time, and I don't want to do that. The other thing I could do is email them, but I find that reaching parents through email has not been very successful. So I have found TalkingPoints to be a huge help. And again, this allows me to text parents, and I go right through my computer. It does not send them my phone number, but I can text them, and I know most parents, like most of us, are very attached to our phones, so at least I know most parents are seeing these messages. So it allows me to do that. So I can have active classes. So I've got some active classes on the side here. And I can click into one of these classes. I'm not going to. I'm trying to cover up as much as I can with the names so I know it's hard to see. But I can go into the class. I can send a message to the entire class. If there's an important thing, I used to send messages about students needing calculators. Now we provide them. But things like that, just generic messages. But now it really allows me to let parents know, hey, I'm having issues with your child. This is what's going on. Let me know if we can meet so we can figure out how to help them. Or when awesome things are happening, when a student that has been struggling has been doing really well, I like to send messages, hey, this happened today and I am so proud of your child. This was awesome, let's keep it up. Those types of things. And it has been really helpful. You can see that I've sent 4 messages. I did have one of 2 families respond, so I sent to 2 different families in December. Sometimes I don't hear back from parents. Sometimes I know that they've at least seen them because I'll hear the kids complaining about how I contacted their parents, which is great too. The other amazing thing about this, when I send a message to parents, I can either save it as a template, so if that's something that I send often, I can do that. I can attach things to this. I can also, and you can't see it right here, it's when you go in and you add your students and their parents' contact information, you can select a language. So this has been a huge help because the school that I'm at, our biggest population is actually Hispanic, and I don't speak any Spanish. So I can have TalkingPoints translate directly to Spanish to my parents, and then when they respond back to me in Spanish, it translates it back into English for me. So that has been a huge help and a huge game changer in contacting parents. So if TalkingPoints is something that you're interested in, I would definitely recommend that you take a look at it. It takes some time to get your students' information entered in. I don't do it all at once. I do it as I need to communicate with parents, and that has been a huge help. So TalkingPoints, very different from the other 2 websites that I use, but this has also been such a huge help in my classroom. And I would strongly, if you need to communicate with parents but have a hard time finding time, I would suggest you guys take a look at this. I hope you guys enjoyed those websites. I would love to know, are there websites that you think are a staple in your classroom that I didn't talk about? If so, leave those in the comments below. I hope you guys found this video helpful. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. If you are interested in following along more with my journey of teaching high school math, please subscribe. I do upload videos every Friday, so hit that notification bell to be notified when my next video goes live, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye.